Tēnā tātou, kia koutou katoa e tēnei ata, ki ngā kaitiaki o tēnei rohe, te mana whenua o tēnei whenua e tuana mātou, tēnā tātou katoa. My name is Nikki Douglas, I'm the Environment Manager at the Te Aroha Lakes Trust, and I am of Haurauta and Te Aroha Waka, and Tainui Waka also. It's just a delight to be here, but I'm incredibly nervous. I've generally talked to groups of about 15, so they always say you shouldn't apologise at the beginning of a kōrero, but I have two really bad habits. One is that I talk really fast, so you'll just have to try and keep up. And the second one is that the more excited I get, the more I move around, so you might not even hear me because I'll start to move away from the microphone. So just hang in there, people. I just want to acknowledge my Te Aroha whānau that are here today, so a trustee from the Te Aroha Lakes Trust, Nuki Nicholson, my colleagues from Te Aroha. We've got some of our Climate Change Working Group members here in the house today. I just want to acknowledge Hera, who was predecessor to my role at the Lakes Trust, so it's great to be here today. Really inspired by the summary, so I couldn't be here yesterday, but really inspired by the summary that I heard from the speakers yesterday, and I guess one of the things I'm going to talk a little bit about is what does a Te Aroha response to climate change look like, and standing very firmly in that role of having tino rangatira and mana whakahaere over our rohe, so hopefully I can share a little bit of that with you. Today I'm really talking about the Climate Change Working Group, but I just want to explain that photograph. That's one of our Māra kai down at Ohenimatu Pā, and my colleague who works with me at the Te Aroha Climate Change Working Group, this is her whānau, and this is Lani's patch, and she knows that place inside out, and having her on our working group as someone who's completely connected to their part of the world adds just such power to our kōrero, and I think that really gives effect to some of the kōrero yesterday about that hapu connection, and actually the only place real things can happen for our people is at their marae, at their place with them. Okay, so the kōrero. So Pāro Haranui, 2017, lost their wharekai as a result of a significant storm event in Rotorua, and within a couple of months of each other, Makitu and Little Waihi experienced king tides and significant rain events in the same month, and that has caused them significant issues. We also had, that year, we ran a series of honga te aki hui with our hapua niwi, and essentially what came out was this emerging issue around climate change. We had lake temperatures, both at the bottom waters and the top waters of our lakes, between 2 and 4 degrees higher than ever before. So between 2017 and 18, we really felt some of the emerging climate impacts. I guess the other thing that happened was, people started to, the Green Party came into power, they elevated the conversation about climate change on a national scale. At the Iwi Leaders Forum that we attended, climate change had its own kaupapa and had its own leader, and so we kind of were in this place where it was emerging as an issue. And then in 2018, one of our hapu members stood up and said, "What are you doing, Te Aroha Lakes Trust, about this climate issue?" And so 1 month later, exactly, we met and had our very first Te Aroha Climate Change Working Group meeting, which was super exciting to see that energy coming from our hapua niwi. So at that meeting, we made a decision that we wanted to ensure that any response that we made was based in our Te Aroha kaupapa. So today I'm going to talk about the response. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the gap that exists between this kind of urgency to act, but also needing to have a pathway that makes sense for our people, and then the challenges and opportunities associated with that. So we had a bit of a head start in terms of developing a Te Aroha-based response. So in 2014, the Te Tua Papaonga Wai o Te Aroha was developed, and that was in the time that Hera was with the Lakes Trust, and this was developed so that we could give effect to our lake settlement in a way that made sense for Te Aroha. And so we created this based on the kōrero up from our hapu, we talked about our whakapapa relationships to water. And so we really wanted to do the same thing with climate change. And the place we started was really talking about the journey of the Te Arawa Waka. And so this idea that our people, you know, in their own right, were visionary, they're resilient people, they knew how to adapt to their changing environment. For goodness sake, they all got in a waka, you know, 1,200 years ago and went to a different place on the planet. And that was informed by a whole lot of knowledge that they had amassed over time and through their own kōrero and through their own knowledge. And they did it, and they came. And for the Te Arawa Waka specifically, they had an interesting journey. So they ended up in this, and we liken our climate change response to Te Korokoro o Te Parata. It was a crisis. It was a crisis on a journey. They were going somewhere, and they fell into this great whirlpool. And what we've done is we've reflected on the karakia of Ngā Toroirangi, and in his karakia he talks about what needs to be different to get out of this crisis. And it was his wife, Kia, who called to him, "You need to help us, Ngā Toroirangi," hence the name of our group, Te Uranga o Kia. And so he spoke this karakia, and the shark arrived, and the Te Arawa Waka emerged, and arrived safely in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and here we are. So that's the kind of basis for our resilience, courage, adaptation. We are that. We already have it. We just need to apply it in a way, in a contemporised way. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do. And for us, the message is really important to start with our own story and our own people, because those are the people that we're serving. We're not serving anyone else. And so we need them to come with us on our new climate change waka. And so we have a little bit of a challenge around, it's so urgent, it just feels like we need to act right now. And so when we first got together as a group, we developed a bit of an action plan. It's pretty high level, but we thought we need to focus on some really specific things that our people are telling us are really important. So we developed this, and really the thing that, well, I'm kind of, as a group, we're most proud of is this: the purpose of the group is to empower our way of knowing. And that's the Te Arawa way of knowing. That's our own mohiotanga and mātauranga. It's not anyone else's. And we can bring other people's kōrero as we need it. But this is, and so this is our kind of goals. And so we set this, and those are the, you know, that's kind of what we're working on. The strategic focus areas, that's the work we're doing at the moment. And so I'll just talk a little bit about each of those. So preparedness. So one of the things we were really fortunate was that, I don't know how this happens, but we have amazing people who turn up and they say, "Do you need some help?" And we say yes, and they go, "Okay, how can I help?" And then we get $100,000 to run a research project. So it's, you know, I'm a great believer in you ask, you get. And so we asked, and we got this research money to really build the strategy and to understand what it was our people needed. And so we've got Lani Kiriopa, who's our community researcher, and she leads this piece of work. And so we talked to our people what's important, you know, to you in terms of, and we chose preparedness because it's about preparing for that change. It's about preparing in the moment when we've got an issue like Maketu and we've got a king tide, what do we do? And then it's preparedness for changing my future, changing my mindset, changing the way I might behave on a daily basis. So it's much broader than just risk management. Research and education. So we held a series of hui and wānanga, and we brought in our Scion research partner and our hapu and iwi members to have a few conversations about what climate change might look like for us. And basically all the work I'm going to show you today is their work. And so convening these hui has been a really important part of understanding where we go but how we might get there. And it's probably the kaupapa that I work on that has had the most energy generated around it. And for me, just talking to our, you know, whānau, it's because it threatens our whakapapa. And not just our whakapapa as, you know, people, but our relationship with our taonga. And so there's a lot of energy around this at the moment. And so in the leadership and influence space, really that's exactly what it says. It's about standing up, leading, and then actually it's influencing others to think about us in a different way, in the way that we set the context for. I think that's really, really important, and it's quite powerful. So I'm very clear that if anyone wants to talk about climate change, they need to come and talk to us around, in Te Aroha, and then also they need to make sure they're engaging with, we try and bring our hapu and whānau together into that conversation as well. And then, it's this whole thing about how much time you spend talking about things and how much time you spend doing things. And so, for me, somebody said it, I heard it in the summary and I heard it again this morning. We have to understand what's important to our hapu and iwi, what's important to our whānau, so that we're doing the things they actually need us to be thinking about and doing, and then helping with those pathways. That's critical. So these are the kaupapa that we've come up with in terms of our kind of 8 high-level key strategic pathways. So these are the things we'll focus on. And I actually much prefer Kia's networked picture than this thing that I've developed. So, because it is really about that network. So, and so these things all kind of fit together. And so the biodiversity one is absolutely connected to food and water security. And so, we think about how did our, Lani tells the story about, her whole life she's been able to go to the lake and eat kōra from the lake, or her awa. And recently, last summer, her awa was closed for swimming and kai gathering because there was urban discharge into the Utahina stream. And so, for her, food security isn't necessarily about having huge gardens everywhere. It's actually about going to the place where she's always been able to gather kai and knowing that she can go there. So, I think making sure that we're focusing on the right scale of things will also help us. And the other, some of this work is identifying, is it engagement with our, whānau, what do they need, Kia talked about the policy, the influence that we can have on legislation, the policy influence we can have. And I've tried not to be cynical about it, but it is challenging to turn up to the table and be your best self every day when you kind of know already where it might end up. I think that, that's a real challenge for our group as well, is how much are we, of the effort we're putting in, what are the gains we're going to make? But, it doesn't stop us. We're all the same. We all just keep going. We've got to fight the good fight. And so these are the kaupapa that have come up out of our wānanga, and those are the areas we're working on at the moment. And one of the challenges is the resourcing of this. And so at the moment, one of our members is going around all the AGMs of the landowners doing a similar presentation, then asking for money, because, that's where the money is. And they're like, well, if climate change is an issue for you and a priority and you've asked us to do some work about it, contribute. And so far she's got $5,000, which is more than we had 2 weeks ago, and she's still got 7 AGMs to go. So we might end up with $35,000, which is amazing. Which would be amazing. It means we could employ someone to run these kaupapa out. And so our challenge really, so I think the challenge for us is developing a pathway that fits with our story as Te Aroha, that aligns with those values, is informed by our own knowledge, celebrates our resilience and courage as a people, so that we can take on the challenges within those kaupapa. I just wanted to talk a little bit about a project that we're so grateful to, the Waimāori Trust. We ran a project last year with Ngāti Te Rāwhai, one of our hapu on Lake Okataina, and it's the first time baseline monitoring had been done for kōra in that lake. And we had Dr. Ian Kusebs as our scientist and using traditional cultural harvest methods of the taukōra. So Ian and we brought together, and Delia project managed that project, and we brought together a project team and did this baseline monitoring. And the things that we found, apart from the number of coda, so I can tell you that coda abundance in Okataina is great. Okay, I can tell you that. But what I can also tell you is that project led to an intergenerational transfer of knowledge that hadn't happened for about 15 years in that hapu. It meant that the language or the kōrero around some of those practices and those species and some of those places were brought back to life for those people, for that iwi. It also, we ended up having the discussion about how they would take what they know now into decision-making processes. So the Te Aroha Lakes Trust won't be there speaking about Lake Okataina and their coda. Ngāti Tarawhai with Ngāti Rongomai will be standing there talking about, their coda. So it was really powerful in that, yes, we now know what coda look like, but actually we also know a whole lot more about what these projects can do for our hapu and iwi when they're actually delivering that mahi. And so I guess the key thing around that is we've got to do the mahi, we've got to drive mahi that's important to us. And I guess that, and so that's kind of our challenge, is what is it that we can deliver that makes the most difference for things that are our values, things that are important to us. And so one of the things that I've kind of observed in working in the space for a very short period of time is, some of the things I hear is what's good for Māori is good for New Zealand. Our values in Whakaaro are holistic. We get much bigger outcomes when we are involved in projects. We are the centre of our own world, and great things can happen when we decide what it is we want to happen. And I guess I've spent a little bit of time in talking to people around the Science Challenge and just saying, actually, if we're at the centre, if we can prove through the projects that you're all doing and that we did at Lake Okataina and are doing with our climate change, if we know we can achieve those greater outcomes, in my view, the challenges should be wrapping around us. So at the moment, I know that within the science challenges and the research that's needed in this space, there's a gap between what they can do in the biological space. So out of scope for the Deep South Challenge is the species work. For the Biological Heritage Challenge, it's out of scope for them to look at climate. For South Seas, it's the same. So the climate issue is not addressing the issues for our taonga species. So between each of those challenges, there's a gap. But I know that if we put ourselves, and we always do, we always say, the centre of the universe is Rotorua, or, the centre of the universe is Te Araroa, Oruatoria. We all say that. But if we actually stood at the centre and asked everybody to wrap around that, and so we've got to get these gaps between the challenges filled so that we're getting the stuff we need. So when I sit in those rooms and they say, oh, that's out of scope. Well, it's not out of my scope. That's my world you're talking about. And so what can we do? What can we say to fill the gaps between those challenges so that we get the resourcing for our taonga that we need? I don't know the answer to that. I just keep banging on the door, but maybe collectively we know the answer to that. And that's not just the Science Challenge, that's all agencies that we work with. I'm not going to name names because I got in a bit of trouble a couple of weeks ago for saying some things. So I'm just not going to name names. And of course, Te Aroha at the centre of our own universe. And so I guess what we're trying to do through our climate change working group is exactly that. And I wrote down, we're doing what our tupuna chose to do all those years ago. They chose to leave the place where they were in strife and crisis, where they needed to find a new way, so they left their home. They left their families, and they forged that journey. And on that journey, they came up against, this great beast, Te Korokoro, and they survived and they came here. And that's our challenge. Our challenge is to take all the things they brought with them, their courage, their resilience, their ability to adapt, and that mātauranga that we still have. It just astounds me that, 60 generations later, we can still tell the same story. Yeah, and so that's where we're going. We're going on a journey. We're using our Te Arawa Waka so that we can, and I think the action plan actually says it. Yeah, so we can ensure the survival and sustenance of future generations of Te Arawa. Kia ora.